Good evening, everyone. This is Brown at I have Brown, and tonight I want to talk a little bit about Joe Biden and his decision to step down. And speaking strictly as a human being, I am glad that the man stepped down because being the president of the United States, or the leader of any country really, is a position that requires one to be at their utmost efficient when it comes to, say, their intellectual capabilities. And you may not have to be the smartest person on the planet in order to, be the head of a country, but at the same time, you do need to be on your A game when it comes to that position. You need to be fast on your feet, and you need to be able to play the long game, politically speaking. But unfortunately, Joe Biden is a man who is clearly not in the position to be able to do so at this point. The sad fact is, his mind has just degraded, and it'd be one thing if, say, he merely had physical infirmities, that prevented him from, say, being as physically active as, he could be, were he not sick or something like that. But at the same time, though, what's screaming for attention is basically the fact that, well, his mind is just, and I don't necessarily like the guy, and neither do I like Trump, but just from a human standpoint, just seeing him as a man, seeing Biden as a man, I have to admit that I feel sorry for the guy, because, myself, I've, interacted with, people who are elderly and have experienced, memory problems, whether it be from dementia or Alzheimer's, or just, getting up there in age. But when it's brought about by, say, dementia or Alzheimer's, it's even more devastating, both for the person experiencing it and for those who, say, are friends or family of this person and end up witnessing it. But let's say, for example, all right, you're just an ordinary Joe. You're not running the country or anything like that. You're just an ordinary Joe. You're elderly, and you're trying to go about your day. You get in your car, and then you accidentally back into the garage door because you literally forgot that it was there. That's just one thing that can happen. There are several things that start to go wrong, when an individual is hit with, dementia or Alzheimer's, and and if it's bad enough for just an ordinary person going through it, just imagine, say, being the president of the United States and having to contend with this. And that is something that is not, it's not a good combination. Regardless of, what side of the political spectrum you fall on, the man just does not need to be running for office, okay? And I'm glad that he stepped down. I'm not crazy about, say, Trump still being in the running, but at the same time, I'm glad that, Biden, whether on some level maybe he came to the decision himself, or most likely, he had people in his camp, say, who knew how to talk to him and say, hey, I'm sorry, but, or I should say, we're sorry, but, this is something that you need to do. You need to step down. You are in no shape to, go for reelection. And, running the country is too big of a responsibility for you at this point, or something along those lines. I don't really know, obviously, how it went down behind the scenes. I like to think that on some level, Biden had enough awareness to realize that, hey, I'm not going to be able to make it. And so rather than say, let's say he ended up winning had he decided to run for re-election somehow, okay? But then, his memory problems become even worse. And let's say something crazy on an international level happens, I mean, something crazier than what's going on right now, right? I mean, he wouldn't be in the shape to handle it. So yeah, whether it was Biden himself who came to that decision, or whether it was people in his camp who persuaded him to step down, I mean, I'm glad the man did step down. And hopefully he'll be able to get whatever help he needs. And I mean, obviously he has people who care about him, whether it be people who work for him or people who are, say, like friends or family and what have you. So there's that at least. But yeah, I just, I don't know. It's really weird because, I mean, like I said, I don't like the guy, but just looking at him as a human being, I do feel an immense amount of pity for the guy. And I mean, yeah, you could say, well, he did this and this and this. I mean, yeah, he may have done this and this and this, but you put politics aside for a moment and just look at the man. I mean, or heck, let's say it had been Trump who was going through dementia or Alzheimer's. And I mean, some people are probably going to joke, yeah, he is, or something like that. But let's say the positions had been reversed. Let's say Trump was the one who was clearly going for dementia or Alzheimer's. I mean, I'd be, I'd probably be just as sympathetic, and I'd be just as glad had he chosen to step down, had he had dementia or Alzheimer's, okay? So, like I said, I mean, I don't like either guy necessarily, but at the same time, I mean, I do feel pity for Biden in the situation that he's going through in terms of, say, his diminishing mental capabilities. And because, I mean, it's, once you've seen something like that with, say, a person you know or care about, I mean, it makes an impression on you. And so when you see the person who's supposed to be the leader of the United States, going through these problems, I mean, it's not a good picture. It's really not. And so at the very least, I mean, with Biden stepping down, I mean, I like to think that he at least recognized that he was not the right person for the job anymore, if he ever was. But just intellectually speaking, I mean, I like to think that on some level he knew he wouldn't be able to make it, and he would do more harm than good to this country, what had he tried to make it. But so as far as whoever's going to be taking his place, I don't know if it's going to be Kamala Harris or someone else, or I mean, if it already is Kamala Harris, I mean, let me know in the comment section, or maybe I'll just find out, looking up on the phone. But regardless, I mean, of who ends up taking Biden's place, I mean, I hope that there's someone who not only has a good head on their shoulders, mentally speaking, but I also hope that they have a good moral compass. So that seems to be really hard to find these days when it comes to politicians. But as far as, say, Trump goes, I mean, I don't know who's going to be better. I don't know who's going to be worse, Trump or whoever's going to be taking Biden's place, or who knows, maybe even Trump will step down. I don't know. Stranger things have happened. I think we can agree on this. It's been a crazy past several days. But yeah, so I just wanted to throw my 2 cents in about Biden stepping down. And y'all got any questions, comments? I'd love to hear them. Or if you just want to say, okay, I mean, that's cool too. But yeah, y'all take care. Have a good night. Bye.